Welcome to the Finding HAViK podcast. You have Dom and Jake here. And on today's podcast, we have Hilary Ward, which we had the opportunity to go to her house and sit inside of her greenhouse, which was super cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool dome. It was our first remote podcast, which was very exciting for us.
It actually went off without a hitch. We didn't have any technical difficulties.
There was no problems at all.
You did great,
It was
Dom.
amazing.
I was so proud of you.
Thanks.
Super interesting podcast here. She has a ton of different things that she's into, everything from gardening. She has her own business. She's an oncology pharmacist. What else?
They have horses. They have land, beautiful land.
We got a visit from her dog a couple times in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting podcast where we talk about gardening for the most part, how she kind of got to where she is, how she learned about the information she has. Really, really smart individual where you can tell she has a really good high education background that she's mixing with Mother Nature.
Yeah. And I love too that she wants to teach the community how to garden and is like really interested in that portion. So that will be very cool.
Yeah.
And we told her she can help teach Jake how to do it.
It's something that I'm really wanting to get into. So I hope you guys enjoy.
They lost the tools, they lost the way. Now they're calling for help every damn day. While some still sharpen steel and mine, step out of the flock. This is Finding HAViK.
So oncology pharmacist,
Yes.
right? I would like to start by just like kind of talking briefly about what that entails. Because
Okay.
I think from like a pharmacist standpoint, there's like everybody kind of thinks that you're just putting pills in bottles, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. And I think you're also working remotely, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can I guess we'll start there just to touch on that because it kind of unravels, I think, the bigger picture of why we're in a greenhouse right now.
Okay. So I did start my pharmacist career counting pills at Walgreens. That is definitely a way to get into the profession. But I have always had a really passionate interest in cancer, chemotherapy, oncology, that field. I find it wildly interesting. The pace at which the data evolves about how we understand and treat cancer it's just breathtaking. It's difficult to keep up with, and it's so interesting to me. So I'm really fortunate, grateful that I was able to focus in the oncology side of pharmacy practice. I did do 10 or 12 years at Tahoe Forest Cancer Center, working in their chemotherapy, their oncology clinical pharmacy program. I basically was able to have the privilege to launch. And once we moved down here, the commute got kind of rough up to Truckee every day.
Yeah.
And so I was able to find this remote job. So that's just like a little synopsis of how I got from where I started to here. But oncology pharmacy and oncology in general, of course, like what it all boils down to is a patient sitting in the chair, usually getting IV medication, although there are a lot more chemotherapies that are administered orally these days. So it's slowly balancing out to many patients being able to be treated at home with oral medications that are, in fact, counted by a pharmacist.
Yeah.
But my role is to use my brain more than my fingers and toes and and look at a patient's chart, look at what type of cancer they have, how many lines of therapy they've had, do they have drug allergies, what other medications are they on, do they have other comorbid conditions, and just make a really good assessment of all of that and their organ function, their labs and things, and say, okay, this is the best treatment for the patient. This is safe to proceed. It's going to be effective. They're not allergic to it. If there are drug interactions, can we manage them or do we need to change therapies? And if you have kidney problems or liver problems or something else, do we need to make dose reductions so that you can stay on an effective treatment without having toxicity, or at least limiting the toxicity as much as we can. So because the world of just treatment and oncology has been accelerating so quickly, and has been for 15 years, you know, the physicians, the oncologists, the
Yeah.
doctors seeing the patient, they know a lot of information, but when it comes to the drug specifics and the nuances of the pharmacokinetics and how drugs interact with each other, or with other medications, or a patient and their conditions, it helps to have someone like me who has a little bit more extra knowledge and specialty in that area.
That's actually like the big thing I got from that too, is that it's changing so rapidly, which makes it fun, and you know, something that you can stay in on, right? Because
Constantly learning.
yeah, you're
new
constantly learning. You're having to keep up with things. There is new medications coming out, and there's different reactions, I'm sure. So it's really interesting. Are you working? So you're working directly with the hospitals? Like-
So I work in support of a clinic in Portland called Compass.
Okay.
And they have 4 clinics up there, soon to be 5. And I am able to remotely log into their electronic health record, and I review all their patients that they are starting chemotherapy, and I just am trying to make sure that everything's teed up and good to go for them.
So did a lot of that come from COVID time, of like the remote stuff, or was this happening before COVID?
COVID was certainly the catalyst for that change in mindset that people need to be in the building to adequately do a job where you're just staring at a computer all day anyway. So I appreciate this and this opportunity, and to be honest, with the intensity of what I'm trying to focus on and the amount of data I need to look at sometimes to make sure that something is going to be safe and effective for a patient, I appreciate that I'm not sitting in the middle of a busy infusion room trying to focus on a patient chart.
Yeah.
Because the distractions are, you know, there's just a million things that can happen to make your brain go away from what you're trying to look at and maybe miss something. And
Yeah,
I don't want to miss something.
totally.
Seems, yeah, super beneficial to actually have you not in the room.
Yeah, there's definitely pros to it, for sure. I can see that. Okay, so that's job number 1. I'm just going to phrase this into a lot of different jobs that you got going on here. So job number 2 is that you guys have your own business.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted to talk about what that is and how it's going. And I guess having started my own business as well, all the hats that you're wearing on a daily basis. So I guess just start with, like, what is the business? What are you guys working on?
So our business is called Ranch Waterworks, and we started out with the sales of Drinking Post automatic livestock waters, which is a frost-free livestock watering option that works only off of water pressure. It doesn't need electricity, and because it works kind of like a yard hydrant, like a frost-free yard hydrant with a bowl at the top, it drains every time, so it doesn't freeze in the winter. It's not holding water, so it doesn't grow algae in the summer. Sorry, like, this is sounding like a plug for our thing.
No. Plug away.
But
100%.
that's-
I think a lot of people might not know it exists if you haven't seen something like it before.
Yeah, so the reason this started is because I had horses growing up, did 4-H, that type of thing, but I grew up in upstate New York with really tough winters. Water was freezing. Water was never anything less than solid for about 6 months of the year. And when we moved out here, we had the barn. It was quite in a state of disrepair, but we fixed it up. And I was like, man, but I really I would love to get horses, but I don't want to deal with winter watering.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And so Eric actually found Drinking Post on Instagram, and he's like, what about this? And I'm like, well, if that works, like, it looks like it works, and as well as it looks like it should work, based on how simple the technology is, I'm in. You just just removed my main barrier for having horses. And so he was like, I don't think people know about this out here. I don't think anyone has it. So we signed up to be dealers. We installed some for our horses. They're the same. They're still using the ones that we installed in 2022. So 4 years going now, and they're working great. And that was the one start. The other thing was Eric wanted a skid steer. And I was like, well, we will not be buying that from my personal bank account.
You got to have a skid steer, especially out here.
I think we need to start a business so I could buy some equipment.
Yes. But that was how it started. And then I don't know how it was never like on our minds. I've never been like, I want to own my own business. This is not an experience I was looking for in my life. But also, Eric is a pipe fitter. He grew up in San Francisco, and he's like a 5th generation steam fitter. And he was working out here, and the jobs in his area of specialty, which is distinctly different than plumbing, were limited at that time. And so it kind of just started to grow and evolve into, he got some experience doing more like dirt work and grading and landscaping type stuff. And we were like, well, maybe we could do this
Yeah.
on our own. So we're coming up on year 4. Our 4th year anniversary will be in August. And there's been a lot of challenges and learning opportunities.
Did he get a skid steer?
He has
I
a
feel like I
skid
hear it
steer.
right now out there.
You could be. He could be doing
Do
something.
I not hear this skid steer? I hear some kind of equipment. He's just going to drive by like super proud. He's like, this is going to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you guys you sell them and then you also install them, it sounds like then, right? That's what
Correct.
he's doing on the fitting and then the excavation side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then he's just does a variety of other skid steer things.
And that does it work on no matter where your water source comes from? So obviously well, and then, I mean, you guys are on a well here, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we are on a well.
And then I don't think there's any water out in this valley, right? It's all wells out
No.
here. And then, but then it also works off of city water or whatever, right?
Yeah. And it can work off there's a special valve you can buy so it can work off a very low water pressure. So I think people could be even running it off of gravity feed if they have a tank
Got it.
above. I think it can work down to 20 PSI, but I would have to double check that.
Yeah,
pretty
so just
low.
put your
Yeah.
tank high enough
Yeah.
and you're good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of admin for that, right? You're the
Yeah, I'm the CEO, CFO, CIO, Chief Human Resources. Eric is the COO.
Hey, it's good that you got somebody for the COO. Part. Like, you got to take your wins on those kind of things wherever
Yeah.
you get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of hats. All right, I'm going to briefly move on to job number 3, which I think is the last job, but maybe there's another one that I don't know about, which is you guys have been obviously pushing pretty hard on like homesteading, right? And that is why like the big elephant in the room, why we're on location in your greenhouse right now.
in the dome.
In the dome,
the
which is
dome.
super cool. So I guess like talk through, have you always been into obviously cultivating plants and homesteading style, or is this something that is new to you as well?
No, so growing up in upstate New York, my parents we had a big garden and a very short growing season. And so we would do the best that we could to get things going, tomatoes, beans, corn, all of that stuff. And then my mom did a lot of canning and preservation, mostly canning and freezing. She didn't really get into like the pickling and fermenting side of food preservation. So of course, my sister and I were pulling all the weeds and all of that stuff. And I don't know why. I mean, I love pulling weeds. I don't know why. It's just my little therapy time.
I had this conversation with somebody the other day that they were like, it is so therapeutic for me just to go out and pull weeds.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can come over to my house anytime.
Anytime.
I mean,
yeah.
I have enough of my own
Dude,
weeds.
oh, yeah,
I
out
don't
here
need
it's-
anyone
yeah.
else's. But yeah, I have a lot of therapy outside waiting to happen
Yeah.
when I have time for it. But so that's where I learned the basics of gardening. And then once I went to college, and then from college in Albany, New York, I moved to San Francisco. No gardening there. But then when I moved to Truckee, I tried. and the deer would eat everything. So I had I was trying. I had a little garden in the back of my house, and I redid some landscaping in the back of my house just to have flowers
The
and
deer
things
would
like
come in
that.
like a half a day and probably just take it all out.
Yeah, it took them a few years to find me, but once they found me, and the rabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, but that was in Truckee, the villager nursery up there. One of the owners also named Eric. There are so many Erics. They held a class about how to garden responsibly in mountain and high desert areas, and a good portion of that is how to irrigate responsibly and effectively.
And
And
get the most out of your water.
yes, so using micro sprinkler systems, drip systems, and the most important ingredient, which is a ton of mulch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To retain
Yeah.
moisture. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because honestly, like the soil around here for gardening is really great. It drains well, it's slightly alkaline, which for growing most vegetables is ideal. But it's that we don't get the precipitation, so you have to add water, and then you have to make it last as long as possible, which is
Yeah.
what the mulch does. So kind of figured it out up there on a small scale, and then we moved down here, and I was like, okay, look at all this space. But an outdoor garden, we still have a pretty short growing season here. It's not dissimilar from upstate New York. And a friend of mine up in Truckee had one of these grow domes, and I saw it. She has this fig tree that makes this canopy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in the summertime, so she doesn't even need the shade cloth and
That's pretty cool.
whatever. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I need one of these. And
I'm kind of
So
in
you
that.
got one.
Honestly, I'm in the same boat right now. I was like, oh my God, I need one of these. Like, I might start going drawing some stuff up. I'll just make it myself. But I'm pretty good at making things.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. If
But,
when you have the time to take on that
That's
challenge.
the problem right now. Is
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. You don't have the
Or
time.
you
But-
can just buy the 3D puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
Starting my own business, I don't have the money either, right? So
Yeah,
there's
there's that, yeah.
that balance of like time and effort. But it's these domes are really, really cool.
Yeah, so the company is called Growing Spaces. They're located in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and people have these domes all over the place. I think people even up in Alaska are putting these up so that they can
Grow.
grow all year round. And people do all kinds of different things. They could have them mainly as a sitting space, or they actually garden. Some people keep them warm enough that they're tropical gardens. So there's all kinds of options for these, but it's specifically engineered. I'll just call out some of the high points. It's very wind resistant because of the shape. This Reflectix over the north side is specific for keeping the pond at a even temperature so that it doesn't get too hot, too cold, and it keeps the dome from getting too cold during the winter. Basically, it's reflecting the heat from a low angle sun back into the space.
Yeah.
And we have, because it gets so hot out here, what's called the desert cooling package, which is the fans and the fans with the flaps that are on a thermostat, and then that high one too that pulls the heat out of the top. So the cool thing about these fans and the vents on the sides here is those pistons are filled with beeswax, which expands at a certain temperature. So the flaps open as it gets about 80 degrees in here, and so the whole thing kind of self-ventilates.
That's
And
really
then-
cool.
Yeah, and then when it cools off, they close. So I don't have to come down here and open and close vents.
And it's like a robust system, right? Because it's
Yes.
just running off of the temperature of the room.
Yes.
That's
Who
fantastic.
Who was the smart person that was like, beeswax goes?
I don't know if Jake can design that.
I mean, it's running just like a thermometer, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But then their beeswax happens to expand at the right temperature
At the
that
right
you
temperature.
want, right?
That's
Yeah.
pretty
So you're
cool.
like looking for
It
the
is
right.
really
That's
cool.
amazing.
And then the other key
I could
factor,
totally design that dome. Screw you.
The other key piece is the pond itself, which acts as a heat sink and keeps the dome warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, because that mass of water is sort of like specifically calculated for this space to
Very cool.
to keep this amount of space more temperate.
Nice.
Does it have to do with like humidity at all? Does it do
It
anything
does.
with that?
That sounds like a hungry fish.
Oh, the koi fish that are in the pond. That's funny.
It does help with humidity also, but I think what honestly helps the most with humidity in here is the soil. It seems to do better water exchange. Like, I'll come out here in the morning, if I watered the beds, then there's humidity clearly on the windows and everything, but
So I want to talk more about like the drive, right? Your drive to, just you decided this was something really important. You grew up with it, but like, where does it come from? Because it is a lot of work.
Especially in the fact that we just framed that you have like pretty much 3 full-time jobs.
That's right.
I mean, who needs sleep?
Amen.
Everyone.
I like that. I like that answer. We're on
Everyone
the
needs
same
sleep.
level.
Actually, over the years and refinement and improvements, I can do a lot with very little, or with less input than it originally took. So
Sure.
there's efficiency gained. But the drive, I suppose, the recent motivators was kind of twofold. One, it was during COVID when you couldn't get actual food. The shelves were empty, the trucks weren't coming. In my lifetime, I have not experienced that where it wasn't available. But the other part of it, well, I guess there's 3 parts. And then also we went to Italy, and the food there is so good. The vegetables and everything are amazing. But it's because we were eating, they weren't trucking the vegetables from
Across the country,
across
other
the country, other countries,
Yeah.
other hemispheres. The veggie truck came through town 2-3 times a week, and it was just bringing vegetables in from local farmers. You eat seasonally, and that type of thing. And then we also started so we like good food. There wasn't good food on the shelf during COVID, or any food. I feel like post-COVID, the food that is on the shelf, the quality is less. It just doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have some food allergy issues and different things here on the homestead. So we're working around that. And I just am like, I think that if I can grow quality food for myself, it's going to taste better, be more nutritious. And I think eating seasonally actually does have some real health benefits, because winter vegetables give you the winter vitamins you need. Summer vegetables give you the summer vitamins you need. And I think that is a really natural cycle and a healthy way to eat.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. So what are you doing for proteins?
We just put half a cow in our freezer
Okay.
that we went in with the neighbor on half a cow. Eric has some friends that do fishing trips out of San Diego, so he'll occasionally go fishing. We still do buy chicken from the grocery store,
Yeah.
which I would love to change.
Yeah, that's one of your goals, right?
Yeah.
Meat chickens.
And then we have eggs from
Eggs,
the chickens
yeah.
the layers that we do have. So Eric would love to do more hunting and get some game protein in the freezer, but there's that tea thing that it's just a limiting factor. The time.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm getting ready to put in for tags, but I normally put in for Montana, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to this year because I just don't have the time to go up there.
Right.
So it'll just be a Nevada hunting year, I think, this year, which makes me sad. But
Yeah.
but it is. Yeah. I mean, there's also bird hunting, which is like a good source of good food. Like the chucker around here are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he-
we went
and-
chucker hunting with.
Yeah.
Well, we've taken our guns for a walk.
yeah.
Me and you?
No, with Eric.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've taken
Yeah.
our guns for a walk
Yeah,
too.
we have. Yeah.
Well, and Bullet's trained for retrieving
Oh, yeah.
birds. He loves bird hunting, but that's the thing is like hunting the hunting part doesn't put the protein in your belly.
Right.
It's the killing part.
Yeah.
And you could do a lot of hunting and not come home with
Do a lot of
anything.
looking.
That's true, especially with bird hunting. Like
Yeah.
it's the reward is not as high as the effort, right?
Yeah.
You can go
Yeah.
out there and kill 3 chucker, and you're like, you have it for dinner, and you're like, well, I burned way more calories getting that bird
Yeah.
than I did eating it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always look at like the bird hunting as like a less time thing though, right? Because I can like pop out. It's almost like fishing, where I can pop out, do it a little bit, and then come back. Versus like if you're gonna go hunt deer or elk, you might be out there 4 days, 5 days. You're like,
Yeah.
well, to take 5 days off is
Yeah.
a lot of effort. So yeah, it's definitely that.
Yeah, that's why our neighbor, the past few years has raised cows, and we're just able to go in, and a half a cow is a year of meat for us with
Yeah.
the fish and chicken kind of sprinkled in. So
Well, and now you're supporting local, right,
Yep.
beef suppliers and stuff that are doing exactly what you're doing in here, but you're not having to essentially do all the work for it, right? So you just
Yeah.
pay for it,
Yep.
which is, it's still good.
Yeah.
Better than buying it at the grocery store for a long shot, yeah.
yeah, and I think, what we've seen on and off over the past 5 to 6 years is just the price of protein just keeps going up and up and up. But it's not even just about the price, because there is nothing about how we get our food right now that is cheaper than the grocery store. It's just that it's available.
Yeah.
We have it, and the
Yeah.
grocery store doesn't
That's
always.
a good point. Yeah.
So we're creating our own access to the food that we want to eat on a reliable and consistent basis.
Yeah. And that, I'm assuming, comes a little bit from the COVID side of things, right?
Yeah.
But did you have that mindset before, or was that like a slap in the face of being like, oh shit, like we need to be able to be a little bit more self-efficient?
So to some extent, we had kind of migrated the direction of, so when I lived in Truckee, I would just, between the hospital and my house was a Safeway, and I would just roll through the Safeway on the way home. I usually would walk to work, and I would just pick up whatever I felt like eating and cook it, and that was it. Like,
Yeah, it was a daily grocery store
Yeah,
run, not
yeah.
a planned.
but out here, we're 20 minutes from the closest grocery store. There's no like, oh, I forgot an avocado. Let me just run to the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot more planning ahead for meals and keeping, we got a chest freezer and, trying to keep things on hand. And that's why having the dome and my raised beds in the summer has been so helpful, because I don't have to store vegetables. I just pick what I want to go with dinner. So we're now in a position of pull the meat out of the freezer, find what vegetables are ready, cook the food, eat the food, instead of having to plan meals, plan a grocery list, go do that.
I feel like it's actually easier to plan that way than to decide what you're getting from the store, because you come out and you go, this is what I have. This is what we're eating. I have to make something out of
Yeah,
it.
instead of planning for an entire week, you're planning for that meal.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about, well, what am I going to eat for the next 7 days because you're at the grocery store or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by day 6 and 7, the salad lettuce you bought just looks terrible,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
you end up doing DoorDash or whatever anyway, because
Yeah.
you don't want to eat what you plan to eat 6
Yeah.
days, 7 days ago.
So when it comes to starting this type of garden, is there certain vegetables that are easier to grow than others? Like, where would somebody start? Like, what would you recommend to be? Like, I would do these 3 steps first. I'm asking for myself.
Asking for a friend.
This is totally for a friend.
Well, I wish I could say it's a simple answer, because there's so many with our 4 seasons, and there are cold weather vegetables like all the brassicas, kale, broccoli, but even like parsley, cilantro, onions, those all do well. You could have started those in December this year and they'd be fine. But if you're just gonna try a summer, a easy summer garden. You just get, and if you don't have much space, you just get some tubs, do a tomato, some basil, and cucumber in one tub, because those are all companion plants, and they all require about the same amount of water. Get yourself on an automated irrigation system, because it really sucks when you forget to water. You go away for a couple of days, and
Yep.
then
Yeah.
Your basil's all sad.
yeah, you're like, well, you're not coming back, are you? And so I think the biggest thing is figuring out what time of year you're planting, because tomatoes, basil, and cucumbers will not survive the cold nights we have right now, or it's risky anyway. Figure out what you like to eat too. If you don't like tomatoes, don't plant tomatoes.
Yeah.
Plant a pepper instead. They basically require the same.
Is there like a resource when you don't know the answer to something that's where you go to get the answer?
The AI has been helpful for summarizing available information, but what I would say about that is, and I think, everybody hears this, but I don't know how much it sinks in, is AI isn't always right. It's summarizing what is right and what is wrong, whether
Yep.
the information, whatever it is. So I think I have enough experience gardening from how long I've been doing it, from what I learned from my parents, et cetera, and what I've learned from other people, that I can look at an AI summary and be like, oh yeah, that does make sense, or no, that's garbage. Let me ask this question a different way. So if you don't know how to assess the information that AI is generating to you, you should go to your local nursery, whether it's Moana or Rail City, or if you have a neighbor or friend that does gardening, you can call me.
Got it.
And
That
and-
podcast totally worth doing now.
but you can run your question and the output you got past that person, and they can say, oh yeah, that does make sense, or maybe, but think about this. And that's just kind of how the information age we're living in right now is. Like, you can't just trust what the Gemini summary tells you.
Yeah, I think that is an issue, because then the other thing is that also
That's funny.
it kind of makes you less social, right? It's actually, you're going to get better information going down to your local nursery and asking these questions than what you're getting on AI. But then you're also going to get that social aspect of, right, talking to a real human being, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was interested if you were
Walking
going
out
to
your
say
door.
anything about AI, because it was like, it is really, you nailed it in my opinion, is that it's really, really good at giving you information really quickly, but you still need to understand what it's actually saying. And you're a person, obviously, just with your background in education, can retain information really, really well, and you probably have good reasoning skills and be able to like balance things out just with your background. But a lot of people can't, or necessarily don't have that skill, or if they don't have any background in this field, then where you go from that. And so, yeah, it totally makes sense. Find a friend, find a local place and stuff to go from there. Yeah, 'cause for me personally, like I do a lot of hunting, and so my family's had cattle, and we actually just got rid of our cattle, but I have friends that still have cattle, so we get our beef from my friends, used to get it from my family, and then I supplement with a lot of hunting. But I don't have any vegetables, so we go buy all that stuff, and it kind of irks me where I'm like, I just want to sit down at the table, and everything that's on my plate, I've done myself, from like a long-term sustainable level too, and I'm just not there yet.
I think slowly over time you've gotten there. I've definitely
So-
had meals here where
It makes me really excited when the meal I serve came all from this end of Antelope Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool,
I
right?
love it. Like, I get so much satisfaction out of that it doesn't happen all the time, though, because, like,
Yeah.
I don't have enough room to plant enough carrots to have carrots all year round, so I have to go buy carrots. So I'm like, okay, well, this stew is 95%
Yeah.
north end of
Which is
Antelope
still
Valley.
amazing, right? Like having, I guess, that mindset for me is the thing that I think separates people, different types of people. There's some people that do not care where their food comes from. They'll DoorDash. They'll buy whatever, and they do not care where it comes from, and they just know that it's going to be there. And I think that relaxation, I just don't understand how you can go day to day and not know how to get your own food. Like, if all the shit hit the fan, it's over for you. Like, what are you going to do? But then you have this like ability, like if you have this mindset of being like, I want everything to be on my plate. That's just like, I've gotten from the local area, then at least you now either have a friend that can do it or you can do it yourself. And I think that's a huge step. With that being said, I know one thing that you've talked about doing is a community type garden. So I kind of wanted you to talk about that a little bit on like kind of what your goals are. Again, another thing that you're kind of driving forward and goes back to Mel's thing of like your drive seems to be insatiable.
Unfortunately, for all parties involved. I don't think Eric knew what he was getting into when he married me. But yes,
I'm still 90% sure. I'm pretty sure he's out there in that skid steer, so I think he's doing just fine. I can hear it. I think he's got a big old grin on his face. I'm pretty sure. Sorry.
So, yeah, this whole idea of being able to start a community garden is new. It's probably been things that have been floating around my head for a while. But now I think now that I have 3 winters in this dome, it's the first winter I've ever been able to overwinter tomatoes and peppers. They look a little sad, but I figured out what I need to give them, and we'll get them fixed. And just with efficiency and kind of independence enough that this doesn't absorb a huge amount of time. And then how much we enjoy the food that we get and how much better we feel when we eat the food that comes out of this greenhouse or our raised beds. And so I think about, one of the things for my inspiration is, have you guys heard of the Reno Gleaning Project?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
but I'm not familiar with, I've heard of it. I know the name.
So it's a little sidebar, but in the summertime, you can sign, if you're a person that has fruit trees, grapes, whatever, which if you didn't know this about Reno grows an incredible amount of fruit in the summertime. It's insane. And most people have far more than they know what to do with. And so the Reno Gleaning Project has been developed to connect folks who have too much fruit with people who will go pick the fruit and then drop it off at kitchens or places where people who need food are getting served free meals. They'll drop it off at assisted living facilities or places where there's elderly folks who can't necessarily go grocery shopping, let alone go get their own food. So it's a really, really cool thing to do. And the beautiful thing about participating is that if you go as a picker, you usually get enough fruit that you're sending fruit to any of these places as a donation, but you get to keep some for yourself. So if you love apricots, go participate and get apricots, and that type of thing. But so the community garden thing, of which I know there are already a few right in Reno, but out here I think we have the space where if I could put together a plan, my dream would be 3 42-foot grow domes and be able to partner with elementary school kids to come learn about gardening, help with the gardening.
Love it. Yeah.
Other maybe garden clubs or others that maybe don't have the resources to have a greenhouse over the winter, people can come and help and take food home. And then whatever the excess is, like I feed all of my excess to the chickens. But if we had big spaces like that, we could routinely cut things down and take them to the food kitchens and the assisted living facilities and keep them in fresh vegetables year round. And because I love gardening and eating my own food, I think it sounds cool. And
Yeah.
I hope if I'm an old person someday in a facility, someone will bring me some fresh vegetables from a community garden.
It's the best thought ever.
I'm planning for my future. Is really
Establishing the foundation. I think it's an awesome thought. Hey, I hate to interrupt my own podcast with a HAViK ad, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you head over to spreadhavik.com, you can see all the different merch and gear that we're currently carrying. While you're there, sign up for HAViK Society and get email notifications on new drops, what we're doing with the community, and hunting, fishing, homesteading know-how, and more. Again, spreadhavik.com to get your gear today. Now, back to the podcast.
When we talk a lot about how to, like with Nico, with your son, right? How you instill these values in the next generation. And this might be the first time where you're the odd one out and you're the only one in here that has a child.
Oh, yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. But being able to still perpetuate those values to the next generation community wide, right? Not just within, your own
household.
circle, your own household, but bringing it to everyone, I think is really important.
There's so I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but my cousin's wife homeschools their kids, and there's all these co-ops now that go out and do kind of events like that. Where I'm like, the homeschool co-ops would eat that up, right? Because
Yeah.
they get this hands-on, and like a lot of the homeschooling now is a lot more tangible.
Sure.
I actually very much support the homeschooling stuff, where they're learning how to do their taxes already, kind of thing, and
It's more, there is a community. There is
Yes.
a group of them. It's
Yeah.
not just a couple kids at home.
And one of our last guests and stuff, his kids are homeschooled in that co-op and stuff, but they're learning such tangible things that a garden, I'd be surprised if they already aren't working with some gardens, but like if you actually had a program where they could come and like one of those domes is for those co-ops, right? And you're teaching them that, it'd be just a great lesson. And now you're just instilling those values into the next generation,
Yeah, and
which
I'm
is going to
thinking-
end up on your plate when you're old.
Well, not even the growing of the food, but the water management, like you talked about, or even that the beeswax changes at a certain temperature, right? Those natural things that I think get lost.
As my son's favorite catchphrase right now is he just says science. Everything that happens, he's just like science. Sometimes I'm like, you're right, that was science. And sometimes you're like, no, that was just sheer luck or whatever is happening in the moment.
Yeah.
But science.
That's great.
Beeswax, science. So,
Yeah.
but realistically, it actually is all science, right? And that's what it all is.
It's biology.
It's biology, which is awesome. Do you see that as being like a potential place in which do you have any interest in like teaching this style of living, or is it more of like you just like to share the experience?
That's a great question, and I don't think I've really ever thought about it because I can't imagine adding
Sorry if I just put that in your head.
classroom time to my plate.
Yeah.
Obviously, I will sit and talk with anyone who wants to hear
Yeah.
about all this stuff. And a lot of times I learn because other people have information to share and things like that. So I think if something else came off my plate and we had a healthy community garden initiative going, I could see myself transitioning into some kind of teaching role for that. But I think that's definitely a future state.
Our next podcast, we'll just have her teach you how to garden.
I would love that. I'd love that so much. I'm all about learning. My problem is the time thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what it comes down to. At some point, I'd love to I want to get to that point where I don't have bills to pay and I can just focus on the things that I like love, and I just want to like move from thing to thing. Like I want to bartend. Like that's like a thing that's on my list. Where I'm like, at
Slinging
some
booze.
point, I'm gonna be like older and retired. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go learn to be a bartender, and I'll do it until I'm like, all right, I'm over this, and I'm gonna go do the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit and do nothing, but like learning a new skill like this is just, especially a skill that translates into like survival. I'm obsessed with. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
I mean, you asked the question earlier of how to get started, and as we've talked more, I think for someone like you with, limited time and money, I mean, if you just buy, get,
Somebody was like,
you said you.
no, I know, no, you're
started
totally
a
right.
business.
100%. No, yeah.
It's true.
I mean, yeah.
But you just if you get some galvanized tanks and fill them, put a few holes in the bottom, fill them with dirt, and you can get hose, timer, irrigation things, and then you just get some starts from the nursery. And as long as we're past our date of last freeze, which seems to be moving further and further towards April,
Yeah.
or March, as it were, you'll have food for
Yeah.
the summer. Towards the end of the summer, you'll start having things, and it's as easy a cheap way to get started as there probably is.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I just need to do it. It's one of those things where you just need to like make the point of it and get it going.
Yeah.
And then once it's going, then it's more of a maintenance and stuff.
Yeah, talking about time. I think I've asked you this before, but because we haven't even brought up that you also make a lot of your own bread, crackers.
Yeah.
You ferment a lot of your own foods.
Yeah.
So sourdough.
I want to do
I
sourdough
just-
so bad, and I just haven't done it yet.
Time. Like, do you have a clone? How do you manage your time? So you have a full-time job, and then you also support your own business, and then you manage the dome. You manage making your own bread and crackers
And we
all the
have
things.
horses.
And you have horses.
Yeah, animals. You have the chickens.
How,
I'm assuming
do
the
you-
COO helps with a little bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, some days he leaves
Yeah,
the chicken gate
how do you
open,
manage
no
the time?
water. Very intentionally. So the beautiful thing about fermentation, which is sourdough is a form of fermentation, is the inactive time is the most time. So to make bread takes me 36 hours, but my active time for that is not more than an hour. But it's just a matter of being able to say, okay, I need to start this at this time, and then I need to do this next step at this time, and then I need to knead it 4 or 6 times for this time, and then it needs to sit, and then I need to do this other thing, and in between I'm doing other things, like
Yeah.
my jobs, mucking pens, gardening. So it's that time management skill is huge for this lifestyle, I would say. And I understand that it's not something that comes easily to everyone. I've had to start using a timer on my watch a lot because I'll, put the water in to fill up the pond, top off the pond, and walk away. And then if I don't have a timer on,
flooded
next
flooded the
I
dome.
flood the dome. So having a timer on your watch or your phone is a pretty cheap and easy tool for success. And then just being able to look at something and say, okay, if I want this end product at this whatever time, this is how I count back, this is when I need to start it, this is what I need to accomplish. So it's really heavily project management related, which
Yeah.
I've never had any formal training in, but have somehow an aptitude for it.
The
Is that a fish?
Yeah,
Yes.
the fish
So
sucking
hot.
off the
Sucking out the
like
top.
through the top of the water.
Yeah, don't stick your fingers in the pond. You might lose one.
Speaking of time, how many hours do you think a week you spend on the garden and the dome?
It would have to average out because there are weeks that I hardly do anything out here. But I'll admit you guys were a little motivation to get my spring cleanup done here. And I spent probably, 6 or 7 hours out here last Saturday trimming things back, pulling out dead stuff, making sure the watering is working how I want it, looking at things like trying to see, okay, like, the peppers are making peppers, but you see how they look a little sad, and
Yeah.
now I've done a little research, and I know what fertilizer I need to get for them, and what I need to do to perk them back up, and then I learned that I probably shouldn't have tried to overwinter my tomatoes, and I should have started new ones, but I'm going to fix that too. So
Sure.
it's just, a lot of times, the time spent out here isn't actually doing something, it's observing. because you need to see what normal and healthy looks like so that you quickly recognize when abnormal and unhealthy shows up so that you can do something about it before it's too late.
Sure.
And so that I always, every day I come and do a walkthrough and make sure that everything looks fine. You know, because this is, as much as this is a perfect environment for growing vegetables, it's also great for nasty insects that I don't want.
Yep.
And not catching an aphid infestation is really terrible.
Yeah.
So has that actually happened to you in this
Yeah.
town?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what's the steps on that?
So you're going to force me to tell you a dirty, dark secret, which is
That question ended up being better than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, I try to do organic gardening as much as I can.
No, now I know where you're going.
Right?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
And I do it by even, like, you can see how I don't have all the same plant necessarily in one place. The herbs, like the thyme, the wormwood, the rosemary, all of this is helps decrease the amount of aphids that will breed in here. The calendula is an aphid trap plant, and so it actually, the aphids that do come in here are attracted to that, and then I can whack the whole calendula and throw them out.
Got it.
But
So that's the one that you check first then, right? To see if they're here? 'Cause
yeah,
they're
or
attracted
I'm
there?
cutting some kale and I pull the kale off and it's got aphids all over it, and I'm like, ah. But so my first move has always been to get in beneficial insects that will eat the aphids.
Sure.
But sometimes if I'm too late, you just have to engage other methods.
Chemical warfare.
Chemical warfare. Well, and step 2 can be actually just, you hit aphids with a high pressure stream of water and their soft bodies can't withstand that, and you can knock them back. The problem is when it's the dead of winter and you don't need to put more water in your beds because now you're going to get root rot and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the winter can be a hard time to balance it. But there's this company called HAViK Organics that I can order beneficial insects from. And so about 3 weeks or a month ago, I got a card of lacewing larvae, which are very effective for, because I was starting to see the aphids on the kale and stuff. And so I put lacewing larvae in here, and it seems like it has controlled them.
Oh, nice.
So I haven't had to take any next steps. But I did have a really horrible pill bug infestation last year that required desperate measures.
So, I mean, desperate measures, though, coming from your background of the pharmacy stuff, though, like you kind of understand chemicals, right? You've done a lot of chemistry, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So you know what you're putting on the plant still, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like you're putting the worst things in the world on them.
No.
It's a balance. It's a balancing act.
It
I'm
is
sure.
a balance, and like even
You're
you
not.
know-
I guess you're not doing it blindly, right?
No.
You know exactly what you're putting on them.
and I'm trying to do the least amount possible to achieve the end result of control.
Sure.
So potato bugs are really interesting little things. They're beneficial to a point because they clean up decayed matter, and so they can keep your garden cleaner. But the problem is when there are too many of them, they will actually start eating your seedlings and young plants and start doing a lot of damage. They're interesting because they're not actually an insect. They are a crustacean.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
more
that's cool.
closely related to like shrimp and lobster, and they breathe through gills. And I could not get rid of those things. I had my neighbor's son coming over here. I was paying him a penny per pill bug that he would kill.
That's amazing.
And we just couldn't get on top of it. And they were eating everything. So I had to do control. But that was something I sprinkled on the soil and
Yeah.
pretty much eradicated them. And it's something that's only toxic to invertebrates. So, limited other toxicities to me.
Yeah.
With my spine, I'm good.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I wanted to make a joke about like if you have anybody
Any
Any
spineless,
spineless
friends?
neighbors who come on over for dinner, you're gonna know.
Sprinkle
Just
some
kidding,
of that dust in their dish. Yeah.
I'm the only dad, and now you missed the dad joke. You got the dad joke out. Yeah, I think for a lot of that stuff, though, I think the people that don't understand it are the ones that are the most scared about chemicals, right? So my wife's
Yeah.
actually, she has her PhD in chemistry. And so we typically understand how to like balance the knowledge versus the not knowing or whatever, or look into it a little bit more before we make a judgment call. So like on that situation, like you have a lot of background in it. You really understand, okay, this is the line in which this needs to be crossed in order to get the situation done. So many people, I think, are worried when they don't see, like, when it's not organic, then they just, like, freak out about it. Be
Yeah.
like, well, what happened with this particular, plant or whatever? So, I don't know. I don't even know if that's a dark secret. I think that that's just you. I think that's a really good thing to know for a person getting into gardening maybe soon.
Yeah.
That, like, understanding that balance of being like, well, there's these resources that you can try to keep it organic, but then, occasionally
Well, I mean, it's, and
you got to bring out the big guns.
when my professional life is basically dealing poison to keep people alive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a far gap for
Yeah.
gardening.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I guess, what I was getting at, right? Is
Yeah.
you understand how to balance,
Right.
risk and reward in situations
Yeah.
like that. And
I mean, it's just the only other thing that I could have thought of to do was let the chickens loose in here,
Yeah.
and they would have made this. They would have eaten.
They
all
would have
the
eaten
plants.
everything, yeah.
They would have pooped on everything.
Yeah.
It would have been a terrible, stinky mess in here.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can try, but there's also, I always think when it comes to gardening or your health, that there is a time where you just have to say, okay, this biological balance is so out of whack, I can't get it back in balance through what most people would consider organic
without
approaches.
without a large loss, right?
without causing even more damage.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
This makes me think of something you said before the podcast about, I think you called it intentional resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know where you came up with that because I really like it.
That's a Hilary Conkling original. Because
We're
I
going to
think,
coin it right now. TM.
I don't know if I'm the only person that's ever said it, but I've never heard anyone else say it. And the reason that I say it that way is because people talk about resilience all the time, like it's something that just happens. Like
Yeah.
you're a resilient person. It's like people talk about it like it's an innate characteristic. And
Yeah.
so like some people are resilient and some people are not. And I don't really think that's how it is. I think resilience is like a muscle, and I think it's something that you have to pay attention to, and you decide if you're going to be resilient. You decide if you're going to let the hard situation or the tough thing knock you down, or you decide if you're going to maybe give yourself a minute, feel the feels, but then don't let one of those feels be defeat, and figure out, what did I learn from this, and then keep going.
Yeah.
And that's why I call it intentional resilience, because to me it's a calculated thought process of, you have to give yourself the time and space to feel the emotions of when things don't get right, because being discouraged is fine. Feeling like you're tired and you don't have the energy to try again is fine for a moment. But you have to also look at what you learned and then apply it the next time you try. Or maybe you decide I just tried to do something that really is outside my skill set and I don't need to do that again. And that's what I learned. Let me try something that I have a little more aptitude over here and see if I could be more successful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really love that.
I think it's about asking yourself the right questions in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. If everything's not going well, it's like, well, what do you have control over? What is the thing that you can change about this situation? What are the things that you don't have any control over?
Yeah.
And then making the best decision based on that, right? You lay out the knowns and then you make your best guess on what the next course of action should be.
Right.
And it's 100%, I think, a learned skill. It's a learned skill and a practice skill, and the more you do it, the better you are about it. And you're not always going to be perfect at it. Like, with my son, it's something that I probably preach to him way more than I should, and we've already talked about it on this podcast a little bit, but it's okay with being uncomfortable. It's okay with being in situations that are not ideal. You don't always have to be warm or cold. You know, sometimes it's just, you got to, I don't know, he had baseball practice the other night, and it was like when it was super cold, and he like couldn't feel his hands. I'm like, hey man, car's going to be warm. You got 40 minutes left. Like, make the best of the situation.
Yeah.
You're out here with everybody else. Your coaches are here. It's okay with being uncomfortable. Just stick with it. We're here to play baseball. Like, it's not going to hurt you. You're not going to die. Like, I'm not going to let you get to that fail point.
Yeah.
But let him get to the edge of being like super, super uncomfortable so that he learns that muscle that you're talking about that you need to work out.
And what I really like is it kind of brings you back to, you said something about how you haven't failed at anything.
I don't think so.
But I think that's because of that mentality, right?
yeah.
I think
mean,
that's an amazing way.
well, failure
That's
is
an amazing way to
It
move through
depends on
life.
the definition of failure. If you
Sure.
tried and you learned some stuff from it, you didn't necessarily fail at anything, right?
yes.
Maybe you weren't as successful as you wanted to be at it, or it didn't go to the plan that you wanted it to be,
Yeah.
but you still learned something.
And I'm not going to say that I've always felt this way. I mean,
Sure.
I have the benefit of years and wisdom and hindsight. But I'm glad I learned it eventually. I mean, I have definitely felt like a failure at times in my life, things that have happened. But now I look back and I think, okay, well, if I hadn't gone through that and learned what I learned, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I'm actually pretty happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And so it's just also having that moment of reflection and analysis of, yeah, I guess I didn't really fail. That definitely didn't go how I planned, and
Yeah.
certainly was painful. But would I be here today if I hadn't gone through that?
No.
And I think and I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I think by most people's standards, I have levels of success, and I mean,
Yeah. I like that,
Most of what I
the
do.
saying that all my problems are solved with the passing of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a problem at some point. Like, you just, like you said, it's reflecting backwards and stuff. So stuff that you probably were upset about a long time ago, you're just like, that was out of my control and I shouldn't have even been thinking about it. I mean, for me anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you learn that as an adult pretty quick. And then it takes a long time to understand it as an adult, but you learn it early. You learn
Yeah.
that this shit goes bad all the time. And then later on, like, I feel like I'm just now getting to that point where, like, in my early years, I always wanted things to be perfect. I'm kind of a perfectionist. And now I'm still a perfectionist, but I'm better at, like, analyzing when things go wrong. I'm better at, like, looking at the whole situation and being like, okay, like, well, how do I fix it, or how do I get it closer to where I wanted without, like, throwing the hammer kind of situation, just like losing it for a minute. So
Yeah.
still happens occasionally,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're few and farther between nowadays.
And if I had to guess, you're like me, you're your own worst critic.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes it really hard.
It's the worst. Yeah.
But it's almost at this point a survival skill, because if I were to continue beating myself up as hard as I used to when things don't go exactly right the first time, how would I keep moving forward?
You also wouldn't be where you are right now if you weren't that way either, right?
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to, like, people that have really successful businesses or are, like, rich, and people are always like, man, why do they keep going? It's like, well, they got to where they're at because they don't ever stop going. They have to have something moving and something in the works. And I feel like you're definitely in that ballpark, right? Where you're just like, you got to have something for your brain to be working on. Which actually kind of leads me to the question of, like, do you do anything that is, like, actual relaxation? Do you go on vacations and sit on a beach? Because I can't. I can't sit on a beach. I go run. I go do something. I can't
Actually,
physically
how
sit.
we met at a beach-ish vacation.
Yeah.
But we
Oh,
did
really?
not
It was a
sit on the
scuba
beach. Yeah, we were on a
where
dive
people
boat.
were scuba diving 5 times a day. I did not, because my head was going to explode. But, actual relaxation is probably not in the same context that most people. Yeah, like Eric can't lay on a beach and do nothing. He could do it for like maybe a day, but mostly not.
Yeah.
There's got to be something happening. And even on the scuba trip, he was like, I just want to go see what's in the engine compartment. They probably need something fixed. And I'm like,
Totally. Go talk to the captain, just like learn some stuff.
yeah, he was
and-
up in
Talking to the engineer.
Yeah, up in where they drive the boat. I forget the bridge. But I would say my best days, I feel the best about my day when I've been able to accomplish a lot of things, especially I'm a checklist person, so if I've got some stuff off a list, feels great. And then our favorite thing to do is sit on the front porch, the dogs play in the grass, and we usually have some wine or beers or whatever and watch the sunset. And that's like my reward. That and reading a fair amount of fairy smut.
Yeah,
Do you?
I forgot to tell Dom that, and I was like, Dom's gonna be so stoked.
I just started throwing up glass again.
You're gonna. You've already read it.
Oh yeah, I read it as she wrote it. It took forever. So I started with
That's funny.
Assassin's Blade. I finished Assassin's Blade. I'm doing, and then I'll do the tandem read.
Yep.
And yeah. Amazing. So yeah.
That was all for Dom.
Something I can talk about.
I send you like the same reels.
Yeah. I don't know anything. I can't
okay.
read, so my brain wanders when I read.
Yeah.
And I like lose my mind.
There you go.
Sweet. Well, I guess before we finish off, though, I do want you to do like a shameless plug of your company. If anybody wants to reach out to you, like where can they find you guys? Especially in, like, it sounds like Northern Nevada. Like, where's your reach? Just to help spread the word on it.
Oh, thank you. So, Ranch Waterworks, we are the Washoe County dealer for livestock waters called Drinking Post. We do sales and installation. You certainly can install them yourselves, but Eric can do that for you. Our website is www.ranchwaterworks.com and can be found on Facebook and Instagram under Ranch Waterworks. And please give us a call. Besides the livestock watering, we can help with other ranch-related activities and things like irrigation. And I guess if you have any questions about gardening now.
That's awesome. Yeah. That I will be reaching out to. I really appreciate you having us to your house and letting us kind of rearrange your area here.
Yeah.
Oh, this was great. Thank you guys for being interested. I mean, I love this thing, and as you can tell, I'm thinking about ways I could expand, and so thank you for talking to me about it.
Yeah. Well, when you expand, we'll come back and we'll talk about it some more.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hilary.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in and surviving another hour of our nonsense.
Seriously, if you loved it, hit subscribe, follow, and leave us a review.
And if you hated it, still leave a review. We need validation, good or bad.
And don't forget to check us out on Instagram @SpreadHAViK for behind-the-scenes madness, terrible ideas, and moments where we actually get it right.
And make sure you sign up for HAViK Society, where we're dropping new episodes and other stuff that makes us sound way cooler than we actually are.
Oh, and tell a friend or an enemy. Seriously, make them listen. If they hate it, just blame us.
We've got some seriously great guests lined up, so buckle up. It's going to be a ride.
Until next time, stay curious, stay uncomfortable, and
keep spreading havoc.